We acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory, the gathering grounds of many diverse First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples whose footsteps have marked this land and whose presence continues to enrich our vibrant community. Hello and welcome back to Research Recasted, the Knowledge Mobilization podcast. I'm your host, Kelsey Johnston, and today I'm joined by Dr. Mohammed Elmorsy. Dr. Mohammed Elmorsy is an associate professor of computer science at MacEwan University and co-founder of PimaSense Inc., a research-driven company developing AI-powered biosensor technologies for sustainable agriculture, environmental monitoring, and mental health. His interdisciplinary work combines artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and biochemistry to build intelligent data-driven systems that translate complex biological and environmental signals into actionable insights, advancing global sustainability and human well-being. Thank you so much, Mohammed, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, no. So can we start by just getting you to give us kind of a brief overview of the research that you do here at MacEwan?
Thank you so much. So my research, it basically involves Internet of Things and creating smart applications. So the whole idea, it starts from the early days, where I was in my bachelor degree. I was amazed of how technology can help communities to create powerful applications that can help the user. My research expanded during my PhD degree, basically focusing on creating I would say wireless sensor networks and having them reliable enough to be used by the end users, and device techniques to make them optimal. And then when I joined MacEwan, I started thinking about, okay, our community needs our involvement. Our community needs I will say research that can serve the community. And therefore I basically started working on Internet of Things to create smart applications that can help people basically in their life. So imagine this, we have in the agriculture many users who are looking forward, let's say for example to optimize the use of their fertilization, let's say for example to reduce their cost or to reduce the environmental impact that that starts growing up. And it's one of the ambitions of basically Canada to lower it down. Or imagine this, that I would let's say for example to have my crop on its optimal form. I would like to maximize my yields and so on and so forth. Or I would like to maintain the soil, let's say health of my, let's say for example farm. So these are all questions that basically Internet of Things can help with. Imagine this, that we are facing since COVID rising on the health concerns, including mental health and so on and so forth. So can we actually make some devices that can make the body, the world talk to us to understand what can we do in order to make our life better? So that's what it takes my research to Internet of Things, how to make things accessible by the community through smart devices and through smart AI systems that can allow us to understand the environment and to work with the environment in a way such that we maximize our profit while maintaining basically the environment. So my research at MacEwan, which I'm very proud of, and I'm very proud of my team that has so many MacEwan students in interdisciplinary format, that my research basically is aiming to create smart sensor environments that can help us to understand more about the environment, to interact more with it, and to help us basically to, I would say, enhance the way that we are living with.
That's so cool. I really like the sentiment of making smart devices that make the world talk to us.
Yes.
I think that's such a powerful image that I really resonate with, and I think a lot of people will as well. And okay, so you mentioned this a little bit before, that you want to be able to help the community
Yes.
with these devices and this research that you're doing. But what kind of initially got you started in this type of research?
if we look at the community like around us from our like daily life, let's say for example like for our farms, or let's say for example like for our hospitals, their associated like waiting time, or for people like since like the pandemic and so on, like basically like how we were working, let's say from homes and so on. These are all like contributed like to the initiation like of like the process. Is that I always thought about like the point is that like, can we actually like understand like what's going on? Can we merge like AI like with like I will say like sensors and embedded systems in order to create like something really like I would say useful and meaningful like to our community? So I started like from my early career like through like my capstone back home in Egypt, that basically was talking about like wireless sensor network by creating like a simple like automation like system. And later on like it basically get in touch with this field, which became like my dream, about like how to help like more the community, how to build like resilient like systems. And that got me, let's say, to my master's and to my PhD, where in my PhD I thought about like, can we make these systems like resilient enough so that like it can go to public? And then like upon my joining to MacEwan like school, which I really like the environment here in terms of basic like our community like involvement and the interdisciplinary nature that MacEwan University is promoting for everyone. I thought about like basically like, can we actually like create like I will say, or create like some research projects that can help like the community, that involves like our students? Because to tell you the truth, like I'm really enjoying like working with my team of students and generating some amazing ideas like basically like with them. So we started working about like basically like how to create like a smart agriculture IoT system. We basically talked about or created like some ASL that can help, I would say, like people in order basically like to understand, let's say for example like each other. From there actually like my research like evolved. And again, like I'm really thankful like for my team. It's not me only, it's my team that basically like who created like all of that. And actually like it was like, let me tell you this, like because of my amazing team, every time like basically like we go to the conference, like their presentations are really well received. We actually like received like multiple awards with
Wow.
my team, so including like best paper award and including like best presentation awards. So again, like my research like started growing. And then like I met like with my partner, like my amazing partner like Dr. Samuel Mugo from physical science, and we started like sharing ideas about like community work and internet of things. His work involves like creating like biochemistry like sensors, which basically can allow us like to understand like more about the environment. And this is where like my research like start evolving by joining like forces like with physical science department and other departments, including like design, business, and so on, and even engineering, in order like, to create like a vision that we hope that it can like help the world like and the community to get things like better for everyone.
Wow, that's amazing. I think it's so incredible how much emphasis you put on the fact that this is a team effort, and that you and because MacEwan it's very interdisciplinary and it's very much community based. So
100%.
it's so great to hear that you've been able to take those qualities and actually just run with them.
We are talking so far actually like about like since like I started like in this just recent project with Dr. Samuel Mogo, about like more than like 30 MacEwan students from multiple like from maybe like 5 different like disciplinaries that were involved like in the process. And always like they keep saying like we really are inspired about like what we are doing, because like we are producing something that can have like a great impact to our community, can help everyone.
Yeah, no, and that excitement and that passion actually like it really shows through with how you're talking about it. And I want to talk about one of these projects because some of our listeners may remember from last season when we spoke to a student, Simon Gordon, about his work on the Agrillo app, and that is one of your projects.
Yes. Yes.
That we're going to get into today. So just to kind of get people caught up, can you explain what this Agrillo app is?
So let me start like the story like a little bit of why is Agrillo.
Okay.
So nowadays we basically like are facing like multiple challenges that basically like we need like to deal with as a community. So first, like the big raise of fertilization, like I would say, like prices, which affect like the ability of farmers, like basically like to apply like fertilizers. The second thing is that like we are facing like environmental impact because of the green, like I will say, like gas releases that will affect like our environment. And it's the hope like of basically the government of to reduce like this amount by at least 30% of basically greenhouse emission. Third, like basically like we would like to maximize like our yields from the farms. And fourth, we would like to maintain, let's say, for example, like our farms by having precision agriculture like practices that make us understand basically like how exactly like the farm or what exactly like the farm needs. It's just like a baby. You need to understand like how to feed it, how basically, let's say, for example, like to make sure that everything is perfect in order to grow it like basically like in a nice way and to maintain it. So that was like the initial point that we started from like in Agrilo, is that can we understand what exactly like the soil needs, what exactly like the water needs? Can we understand this information? So this come like to our initial like progress like about like Agrilo. So what's Agrilo? Agrilo, it's a pocket size like smart agronomist. So it basically provide like a way that you can analyze all nutritions or like basically like the micro and the macro like family in just like few minutes. So unlike basically like I would say like our competitors, which will, let's say for example like lab work, which will take like some time from the farmer to get back the result, especially like in the rural area where like basically they have like to ship, let's say for example like the samples and to get it back. We can basically give them an insight about what's going on in their soil in just a few minutes. We are talking about like maybe like 10 to 20 minutes. But not only that, but actually like through our system, which like basically like I can talk to you about like our successful like stories like with it. But through our successful system, like the farmer like can see like visualization of all the data, and through our AI system that not only will analyze the sensor data like basically and give you like the nutrition levels, but it will also give you like some actionable like recommendations that can tell you exactly like what to do with your soil in order to maximize your crop, to minimize like the amount of payment that basically like you are doing, let's say for fertilization, and to actually like enhance like the environment. So this is like our Agrilo. It's a smart system, getting it from like the point where you just take like few soil samples. I'm talking about like maybe 1 milligram of a soil sample is more than enough to analyze 12 different like nutrition levels, to the point that in just a very few minutes it will tell you for your crop that you choose, this is basically like the strategy that you should like go for in order, let's say for example like to maximize your profit. This is the amount of fertilization, this is the current nutrition levels that you are having here. So we are aiming for precision agriculture, and we are hoping that this can actually like help like the community in the 4 different objectives that I talked about.
Wow, that's so cool. And so you actually brought kind of one of the sensors. Now we don't have any soil here, so we can't do a live demo.
Yes.
But could you kind of walk us through how this system works?
Perfect. So let me just like open like this like vial like here. So as you can see here, like basically like we are talking like about like a pocket like size, like basically device. It has here like a soil. Oh, actually like my RA like put some soil here. So maybe like later, like we can do something.
Yeah.
And it has like ionized like water, and it has like 3 different like basically like nutrition like soils. So the main idea is that like you take like basically like the soil sample, you mix it like basically like with like the ionized like water. And basically like you leave it like just for a few minutes, and then like through like some pipettes, which is this one, you just like insert like the mix, and basically like you pass it like basically like through in order like basically to our reactant, which is here. And then like you leave it like for a few minutes, and then through this nice like pipette here, you just like take like some droplets, which basically like our reactant like will change like the color. You put it like in this like basically like I will say like strip here, and then you take an image with it like with Agrilo app. And from there, Agrilo app will analyze everything through AI and will produce for you like what you need like to do.
Oh, that's so cool. And it's really cool to actually see the system rather than like kind of imagine it.
Yeah.
And then let me speak
let me tell you more like about it actually.
Okay, yeah.
So actually, like we thought, like at the start, okay, like we thought about like this process, and after like optimizing it and so on, and then like basically like to see, okay, will that be like difficult to farmers? Yes, no. How farmers like will feel about it? So we started like going to farms, and not only like in Canada, but actually like we go like beyond. So we tested like with farmers in Alberta, we tested with farmers in Kenya, we tested in farmers with in Costa Rica, and we are actually like shipping to farmers now like in South Africa to
Oh,
test like
wow.
as well. But then like we thought about, okay, it makes sense for farmers, but like is agrilo really just for precision agriculture? And then like it came to our mind that in our schools actually they are getting like basically like some subjects that talk about, let's say for example, like I will say different chemistry, the impact of the fertilization and so on. So can our agrilo take it to the stage where we can actually like change like the culture of our like students at their early stages? And it came to our mind that okay, and again I'm here talking about like basically it's a teamwork, it's a big
Yeah.
teamwork. And it came to our mind that can we take agrilo basically like for schools and see what they will basically like think about it? So we took it to 12 different schools, including like indigenous like community like schools, and the impact or the feedback was amazing. Everyone liked it. Everyone would like basically like in biology class like to have it, to train the students like with it, to show them, let's say for example, the material that they are discussing with them in action with a very affordable device, a very low cost device, where basically like the student can see the impact of what they are learning. And then he took it like to the next stage, and like basically like of thinking about like this project. And as I said, like as we go, I'm talking about like the success, but I also talk about, or I have to talk about the amazing feedback that they are giving us. The amazing feedback that starts ranging from, okay, can you add this feature, let's say for example like to your app? Can you make, let's say for example, like this a little bit easy? Can you, let's say for example, like make this timer like appealing for me, so that like basically, because sometimes I'm doing something while like I'm waiting for, let's say, for your sensor to react, in order to remind the AI like about what's going on. But from this basic like amazing, let's say for example, like feedback that we are getting like as we go, we basically keep like refining like Agrilo. And it actually like give us like multiple ideas. Is that we started thinking about like can we even share, let's say for example, like the knowledge of how actually like we can run or create regression models, and to train like early students in their like high schools and so on and so forth on that. And then like it came to our mind of how we can create like a portable device that belongs to Agrilo, but it's also for STEM education. Because as I said, like it's not only about like precision agriculture, but it's also about like basically to train like the young generation, the next generation, about like these possibilities. And it's like, to tell you this, it's not only like that it's well received in terms of the easiness to use and so on, but the inspiration that they are getting, that we can think of ideas that can change our community. It basically, it was like amazing as well. But then let me talk about, like, let's say, since we are talking about like the Agrilo package, then let me talk about, let's say for example, Pima Spec Mini. Back again, like while we were like working, we realized that basically like some labs in university, in high school, they do field the trips. They would like to analyze, let's say for example, like some nutrition levels, and this is like where like Agrilo come through. But also in chemistry labs, they would like to show students like the process of, if I change, let's say, the concentration, what will be like the regression model based on the color and so on and so forth. And basically they face like a difficulty like on that. And that's where like we start thinking about like this device here, Pima Spec Mini. So it's a device whose main intention is that if you basically give it, let's say for example, like I will say vials with different nutrition or like different like chemicals with different concentrations, then it can use AI to analyze them and to create like a correlation between like the color and the concentration. And this can help greatly like in like the chemistry like labs, so that like students like basically like I would say have an access to a way to show them like this, what does AI mean, what does like different concentration mean, how can I predict like a concentration based on, let's say for example, like the color change and so on and so forth. And that opened like possibilities for us, because to tell you the truth, the impact of the STEM education that we saw was, I will say, equal to the impact of the precision agriculture that we saw, that everyone liked basically to learn more about the environment as we speak.
Yeah. That's so cool. And to see like one device that was created for something like agriculture being used in so many different ways and being able to expand upon that, because now it's not only just for farmers, it's a learning device. And it
What
also shows us that, like, because I know AI gets kind of a bad rep, especially in universities, but this
uh-huh.
is a great use of AI and a great way to show like the actual potentials of it.
100%. And like I must tell that like it's basically like, it's amazing like aware about like the feedback that we are getting and the amount of ideas. Actually, like I was like during August in like a trip like to Costa Rica,
Mhm.
and it was like part of like the government of Canada like exchange like program. And like during my trip, like basically like I presented like Agrilo not only like to farmers, but like basically like to NGOs like there and like to universities there, including like Tech University. And again, like the feedback like was really like amazing. Everyone would like basically like to try it, would like basically like to use it and to see what kind of possibilities that can grow like research. And as we speak now, we have actually like multiple research projects that have been building on top of Agrilo that is running between us as a research group in our basically like wonderful environment like MacEwan University and multiple universities like worldwide, starting from Kenya, Costa Rica, and we are growing as we speak.
Wow, it's so cool to see such an impact that this had just from like a small simple idea. I'm curious. What were some of the like the initial challenges that you faced when creating this system and this app?
I will say like thinking about like all the possibilities of basically like what the user like will need.
It's almost like
So
too much
here
to.
here is the thing like every time like basically like you think about like an idea, you
Mhm.
place like in your mind like some initial designs, some initial like basically like assumptions and so on and so forth, and then you start implementing it. Of course, like while implementing it, it took like the effort of thinking about like the appropriate like AI method, training it, comparing the results, doing like pilot work like to make sure that it makes sense no matter the environment will be, and so on and so forth. But also like as you make your assumptions about like what will make it like easy for the user and so on and so forth, you get like in touch with users, with actual users, and they tell you, okay, this is really good, but like if you do it like on the other way, or if you include for me like mapping, or if you consider, let's say for example, like the internet reachability, so you have to take into account that maybe in my farm I don't have enough coverage, and so on and so forth. So I will not name it as a challenges. I will name it as great ideas that we went through and we learn it from, and basically we keep like refining. And this make us like understand really more about like the environment that we are like working with.
Yeah. Oh, I love your perspective on everything. They're not challenges, they're great ideas that we have to
Exactly.
plumb through. Oh, I love it. I think we can kind of tell just from like the passion and the way that you're speaking about this that this work means a lot to you. So I'm wondering like why exactly? Like what about this work is meaningful to you? Like why do you continue to pursue it?
I will say it's my passion, like to work with the students to achieve great things like with our like youth, basically like to take it to the level that we have like impactful research to the community. Like impactful for me like means that it's something that can translate to a tool that users can use and can help them basically like to have, I will say, like a healthy environment, to have everyone like happy. I will say like interacting like with multidisciplinary, it was like a great experience. Here is the thing, like every one of us like through like the specialization have their own strengths. I am computer science, I know AI, I know let's say IoT and so on.
Mhm.
But my knowledge is more computer science. But if I merge my knowledge, let's say for example, with physical science, with design, with engineering and so on and so forth, then I can basically create like I would say like stronger tools that can help like the community. So I will say like the interdisciplinary like nature of basically the process is really amazing. Working with the community and seeing the impact of what we are doing is amazing. When I hear, let's say for example, like some farmer like saying to me that, well, that's great, I was taking this let's say for a week or two to get what you just proposed for me in few minutes, this is like basically like a big reward. When I see like let's say a student like working for us, let's say for example like he expressed like how it's not only about like just work, but it's about that he feel that he's working for a cause, This basically like make me like really like inspired when I work, let's say for example like with teachers, and they say, okay, Muhammad, like can we, let's say for example, like have this, let's say for our students, and I can see it like in the eyes of the students how they really like it. I feel really good. So it's everything actually like that make me like really motivated like to go on. And I must say, like again, this is all because of the wonderful environment that we have here in MacEwan. Like since I joined MacEwan like in 2000, like basically like 19, like as like assistant professor, like the environment here like keep, I would say, like encouraging us and facilitating for us working with the community, giving us like basically funding opportunities like to work with the students, giving us like multiple pathways like to involve, let's say for example, like again, like I'm really thankful like for example like for the research office here, like for their like variable, I would say, like help like so far. I'm really thankful for the international office here who helped me like a lot to get like basically like I would say like my technology, I would say, like to Costa Rica through like this faculty mobility program. So I would say that all of this motivate me like to keep like working on. But the amazing part in the story is that once you work with the community, it's you are learning from the community. You know, like when you go to schools and you try things, or you go to farmers, and with different cultures, we are not talking about like just like in Canada, but worldwide, and you listen to them and you hear them and you interact with them. This is fun. This is like what make like everything really like motivating with all the aspects that I just mentioned.
Yeah. Oh, that's so amazing to hear. One thing that stood out to me is you said that somebody said it was really nice to fight for a cause or to like work towards
100%.
a cause. And I know a lot of this started because of the environment. So just to kind of like wrap things up, why is this work that you're doing right now relevant in today's society? Like, how do you see this Agrillo app and all of its different applications that that you have found? How do you see it being used in the future?
That's like a great like question. I will say like we it's Agrilo is not all, like is no longer just like a research project. Agrilo is now like a product that is like available like for the community through like our like MacEwan born like company, which is called like Pima Sense like Inc. We are making it like available like to the community to start like working with it. We started working like basically like, with the community like farmers and so on as a company, plus being like as researchers like as well. And we can see that Agrilo can help the community at the moment and in the future as well to start like reducing like the environmental impact, to start, let's say for example, like minimizing like the amount of fertilization that they are like applying, let's say for example, to farms. And I'm not here talking about just farms. Let me like basically bring like I would say like a bigger scope as well like for you. Actually, like we are talking about like the city, let's say, for example, or like the government, like I would say, like all the gardens or all, let's say, the natural parks that we have, that basically cost like millions of dollars every year, basically, like in order like to maintain. So we think that Agrilo can help a lot on maintaining this while minimizing like basically like the fertilization costs, while having like a better environment, while keeping our soil health high for our future generations so that they can benefit from our resources by making like I would say like more profitable like I would say products or more profitable like outputs from each farm or and so on. So I see that Agrilo is a mission that started, and we hope basically like to grow it like to the max, starting from agriculture, starting from STEM education. Because as I said, STEM education. Like, let me ask you this: like, if let's say, for example, like in high school, like I let's say give you like a tool in the class that can tell you exactly what does the book says, but in action, what will you feel like about it?
Yeah. Honestly, I think for me personally, that would be amazing because I learn best by seeing things and seeing how things work. So
Exactly.
it's like reading is one thing, but to actually see it in action, that is how I learn best.
100%. And since you asked like about like the future, I will say to you that as we speak, we have initiated like multiple projects that build on top of Agrilo for creating like I would say like more smart systems for agriculture. Let me like share with you like this. Like we have, let's say for example, like started working on like robotic arm and drone technologies, which basically can automate like the analysis like process like for Agrelo. We are working now like overseas with other universities in joint projects that they can use Agrelo like basically for creating, I would say, like more powerful like applications regarding education and so on and so forth. So we can see that Agrelo is, I will say, it's an idea that born here in MacEwan, and we can see like how, I would say, many impact that it will have in the future. And it's just like one project. As I said, like my team, I have an amazing team. I must say, I have really an amazing team. And this amazing team is working in multiple aspects, like I said at the start, like mental health, as you saw, like with Simon, like in Zendro, general health, and other projects that we are involved on. So I will say that we created like a platform that will keep growing for better future in precision agriculture and STEM education, that will basically grow multiple like projects that will have interdisciplinary and inter-school and international collaboration that we are working on. And we are working on projects or other projects as well that we hope that it can like serve the community like in a better way.
Wow. I'm really excited to see kind of where this goes for you in the future. But thank you so much for joining us today and showing us Agrelo and telling us about your research.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Well, that's all we have for today's episode of Research Recasted. If you want to support this podcast, you can visit Research Recasted on your favorite podcast platform to find new episodes every 2 weeks. Also, don't forget to check us out on Instagram at Research Recasted, where you can leave us a like, give us a follow, or send us any follow-up questions you have from today's episode. This has been Research Recasted, the Knowledge Mobilization Podcast, brought to you by the Office of Research Services and the Faculty of Fine Arts and Communications at MacEwan University.